Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Metaworld News, or maybe it should just be Metaworld News. You can follow this show on Twitter at twitter.com/Metaworld News, all one word. And if you want even more,
Yep.
you can check me out. That's me, Mal, one word. Burns, second word. But on Twitter, of course, it's a squash job. Twitter.com/Malburns, Malburns. And that's where you'll find a lot of the links I mentioned, not all, but most of the links I mentioned on this program, plus many more besides. Because I cull the feed, I can't feature them all on this show anymore. There's just far, far too many of them. Anyway, these are going to be the news headlines as such for the week ending the 31st of January. Would you believe it?
I don't.
Tomorrow, tomorrow is the 1st of February already.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I'll be saying this again in a year's time. Here in the UK, we had some interesting news on the radio news about an hour ago, and that is that government scientists, and this, you remember, this differs from the politicians who don't always listen. Government scientists say that it will be extremely inadvisable to lift the lockdown in Britain until the end of the year at earliest.
Mm,
No more summer holidays this year. Maybe next Christmas. Tough shit.
maybe, right.
Yeah, anyway. So we are reliant on online communications whilst the whole lockdown and everything else continues. And amongst other things you can see on your screen at the moment, if James, who I'll introduce in a minute, puts it up for you,
Oh,
is
sure.
a snapshot of a screen I get everywhere since for the last 3 days. Whenever I go to Facebook, I see this. Whenever I try and log into Messenger, I see this. When I try to log in with my portal device on TV, I get this. And needless to say, I can't get a Facebook manufactured headset to get into anything either. It's all a great big mystery because I was told I needed to reset my password because of a possible breach. Did that. Seemed to be fine for an hour or two. Then suddenly couldn't get into Facebook, and then when was it? So I woke up. I think it was on Friday morning, and found that both Skype were a separate thing, and Facebook Messenger had crashed and were not apparently going to reload again. Well, Skype I got round by loading it onto Windows. Um, the problem seems to be Mac, but yeah. I got through to Facebook and they had an old email address for me, so I wouldn't have got anything from that. But I gave them my phone number so they could text me an access code. That access code duly did arrive, and I put it into the box on screen. And since then, it just took me to this message, and I haven't been able to get in anywhere ever since. At least prior to this message, I was able to get in and press a button saying download your info. Anyway, and needless to say, I'm a bit mad. I don't really give a damn about Zuki Empire, but Facebook Messenger, or Messenger, as it is often just called,
Hmm.
is kind of crucial for me. Not so much in the day-to-day metaverse news stuff and things like that, but in terms of personal friends and old friends, particularly, that's just the only place you can find them. Not even on Skype. Anyway, needless to say, if anybody out there knows the Zuki Burger and would like to actually give him a firm kick in the rump from me, please do so and accompany a message, please. And yeah, if you don't know him, but you're what you call an influencer, please use your influence to influence people about it, him, whatever. If you're a manufacturer of rude pictures involving facial montages and things, please do post them as appropriate. And well, maybe somebody somewhere in the hierarchy of that evil corporation, cough cough, will actually get the message and get off their seat and jump up and down like a chicken. well, no, no, not like a chicken. I want him to do something. Anyway, enough of
Like a
that. Enough
turkey?
of that. So as you can tell, yeah, yes, exactly. As you can tell, I'm. Thank you, Jade.
Hmm.
As you can tell, I'm more than willing to moan about that. Okay, while I've got some pictures on screen here. By the way, I forgot to introduce you, didn't I?
Mm,
I'm joined here by James Outloud too. I'm Mal Burns, of course, but he's James Outloud. Would you believe?
I believe it.
Hello, James.
Hi, Mel. Good to see you. And I'm continuing my trend of changing T-shirts, and so I have today a very nice
You
T-shirt.
are.
Yeah, from
Cheers.
no animation, no emissive colors,
Yeah.
but it's this is from a store. Let me bring up the link here,
It's
and
like
it's
it's a psychedelic
yeah,
factory
yeah,
sort of
psychedelic
vibe.
experience.
No,
It's called.
it's very
Yeah.
nice, nice, nice. Oh, it is called that.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. And it's from a
Right.
store,
Okay.
Robert Corser's store. So thank you, Robert,
Oh,
for a
right.
lovely T-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. Very nice.
Yep.
And I see you're still behaving yourself and put your mask on,
Always have my mask on. That's
which is
right.
all good too. Yeah,
That's right.
indeed. Well, we'll be hearing from James a little bit as the show goes on, of course. But more importantly, he's in the background twiddling knobs, twiddling, twiggling. I don't know. Oh dear. Well, all right
How about
today.
adjusting?
Fiddling with knobs is what I meant.
Fiddling. All
Twiddling,
right.
indeed.
All right.
Well, yeah, fiddling or yeah, adjusting, turning, tuning. Well, basically, he's bringing the my desktop to you as well as my avatar from various different angles. He's doing the video chores, is what I mean. So thank you, James.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's get on. Let's get on with wherever I was. So while I've got that awful screen up, I've also got some pictures loaded here, which may be of interest. That one is not. We want to forget about him. Sorry. Right. While the news items, and we will have more about this later on in the show, is that Google announced that they're finishing developing Tiltbrush, although they've open sourced it, and I know Rosie VR and various other people who use it actively had an open source version up and forums to go with it and everything within apparently minutes of Google releasing the code. So it's got a big sorry, it's got a big take up already, but it is goodbye to Tiltbrush by Google, shall we
Yeah.
say? So don't
Well,
think we'll be
as a
seeing that
commercial product.
particular.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we'll be seeing that logo and whatever much longer, but we'll still have Tiltbrush indeed, of
Mhm.
course. Now, the big news this week, and we'll get to this as we go through the links, is that GameSpeed, the website, had their big sort of open, well, online virtual, call it what you will, sort of conference this year. Um, and they had a regular sort of games thread, but they had a second thread, and it all took place over 3 days in January. Now I didn't have a look at any of the games, the main games thread, because it wasn't of particular interest to me. But the second 3 days, the second thread over the 3 days was the Metaverse, and Dean from GameSpeed there on the left was talking with Tim Sweeney, who's the CEO of Epic Games, very near the beginning. This is a video that was on very near the beginning of the event. It may have been on the Tuesday, and it was one of the first videos to be put up online, and it's been quoted all over the place. Oddly enough, somebody who's actually running a company that's well, obviously experienced bringing games to the world. He's very Tim Sweeney. This is very sort of seems very committed to an open source, open metaverse, and proceeded to elaborate thereon um, in the interview. Obviously, Epic Games, the company he's CEO of, are not exactly on um, uh, agreeable relations with Apple at the moment. But very interesting talk from him. I think they actually, from what I remember, there was no real mention of the Apple epic sort of problem. It was more abstract than that, but very good talk indeed. And let's go down my list again. Oh, go up. Oh, this thing scrolls far too fast. There we are. Oh yeah, and as I say, on the same day, basically, I had a slashgear.com announcement about Gilgood Tiltbutt goes open source, and right beside it, again, I think this is Tuesday or Wednesday, another news item. This is just a screenshot, so we'll get to the thing. There's Gravity Sketch, which is another 3D modeling software, has now gone free to
Oh,
use as
right,
well.
right. Okay.
So for people that like sketching around inside their VR headsets, the Gravity Sketch is more of a computer-aided design app for 3D modeling, whereas Tilt Brush is much more mimicking traditional painting techniques, even if they are in 3D in thin air, so to speak. So both of those basically are now free to use. One's gone open source and will be updated by the open source community, and the other one is quite literally Gravity. It's shifted from a paid application to a free application. Um, I'm not sure unless we've got unless we actually have that link up later. I can't tell you actually why they did it, but the main thing is that they did do it. Right. So moving up a bit here. Okay. Um, yeah, now this might make you laugh. This is on the BBC Midweek. You know how they film people at home these days to, they basically get on Zoom or use Skype to get hold of an expert, to talk about, the expert affairs. I don't know whether she was a virologist or whatever, but they had her on anyway. But it wasn't long before. This is a live video. It wasn't long before there was a lot of fuss about the always check your shelves before going on air. This lady, no, she always poker face, by the way, although she is said to be cheeky. Nobody knows for sure, but most people think it is just a bit of oversight as to what she sort of has on her shelf, as well as books. Anyway, I'm going to move on. If you haven't caught it now, tough. Right, this was another one at the Metaverse, the 3 day of GameSpeed. This is I felt rather sorry for Philip here. He's really got bags under his eyes. He's watching stage. Anyway, this is
Right.
Philip Rosedale, and I forget his name, but the other chap on the right is from Dolby. Dolby Atmos these days, but back in the day, Dolby Surround and Dolby noise reduction, everything else. The two of them, Philip and Tim, I think they know each other quite well, going back years and years. But they were really having a very interesting discussion, which we have links to later, on the use of audio in the metaverse. And of course, Philip's product these days is largely based on audio technologies, and Dolby, needless to say, have always been involved in that. Although Dolby did go for a while with it, they did go with a Dolby Vision product for a while, but I don't think they followed through with that for a long while. Anyway, that seems to be it for the pictures, right? So without further ado, I can put that away and we can get on to some links. And the link we always start with, of course, is Scar Ghost. And yee, I hear him in the distance there, howling away. And yes, yeah, that's the XR Week Peak. And Facebook plans a big shift in privacy. In other words, they're going to kick out all their users. Wonder where they get the money then.
I wonder who
And
that's happened to.
wow, yes,
Hmm.
can't think. Rumors abound.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of them begin with the T word, but I don't know, haven't heard much about ones beginning with the M word. Anyway, right. Yeah, this is a roundup of the news, not from last week, but from the week before, because this is a post that actually came out on Monday last week, referring, of course, to the week before that. I'm going to toggle here. This has been pointed out to me a couple of times, and because I always refer to Scar Ghost. He's actually done a couple of videos this week, and he has a very strong European accent. So it's probably, but he writes very well. And it's probably the best way to, well, read him, so to speak. Um, but while I'm at it, because he was on something else like this, um, his actual name is Anthony with a T, Antony, and then Vitillo, which I think is Italian, although his accent sounds more Eastern Europe, Vitillo. And I keep forgetting it because I refer to him and we keep referring to him as Scar Ghost, even though Scar Ghost is the kind of brand he uses, so to speak. Um, and in a couple of the actual video broadcasts this week, he was present as Anthony Vitillo. So that's why it occurred to me to make a note of that one. Right. Okay. So just scrolling down this very briefly. We won't be hanging around too long. And like last week, I've culled the feeds this week, so we haven't got too much to handle. One hopes. One day we'll get back down to an hour, then maybe half an hour, but unlikely. Right. Facebook Reality Labs head of Andrew Bosworth was talking about new ways of conceiving privacy at Facebook. A lot of this stuff I have tended to avoid because as soon as I see the F word, I tend to close whatever the article is. But I'm probably being a bit mercenary there. Although, given what I said at the opening, I don't feel any less mercenary. And yeah, they also cover the rumors I mentioned last week, which really are rumors on Apple working on a VR kind of headset. That is a weird visualization indeed. As far as I know, it looks more like an Apple Watch that's been
Yeah, indeed.
it doesn't it doesn't look comfortable enough as a headset, even though it's more like glasses. Apparently, the AR glasses they think will come first, but somehow, although you can see what they're getting there and it looks very appley, it doesn't actually look very comfortable. And I think anything Apple would do would tend to be much more
I think the VR
fastidious.
glasses were going to come first, right? As a niche development tool, and then the AR would come.
Well, the rumor was that next year, not this year, or later, they will be bringing out the VR
Yeah.
glasses at a phenomenally expensive price.
Yep.
But I think the AR glasses are a separate thread, and they are rumored and sort of on the invisible agenda for some time.
Hmm.
I think the thing about the big headset is was, as we pointed out last week, largely rumor. Whereas the fact that they're working on AR, some kind of AR glasses, which won't be virtual reality, they'll be AR, has been um, on the cards for some time. Exactly when they bring it out, I don't know. We do have another link coming up later because something else that happened this week is we found out about another patent, right, that Apple have actually got. Um, and I'm going to jump to it just for the sake of it. Why not? There it is, or it should be. Yeah, this is the Apple patents site, Patent the Apple. And Apple reveals a patent. It's a way that will allow users to feel 3D controls on the surface of an iDevice display, active as a VR headset controller. So the I guess the idea is they've patented a system where on the outside of the headset, you'll have the equivalent of your buttons or finger positions. So I guess you'll be sort of holding your fingers and hands up to where your eyes should be and pressing buttons on the headset like it was a gamepad. I haven't an idea, but they basically one of Apple's firmware engineers was listed as an inventor of a patent application titled Haptic Interface for User Input Device that relates to a new sensing system. And obviously, like patents are, Heavy diagrams that really tell you as the average user very little at all. But they give enough information to stop their rivals actually nicking whatever all that stuff is about. That is the idea of a patent. But of course, patents are patents, and Apple in particular, like many big companies, are filing patents, 100 times a day, and they don't necessarily ever get round to bringing out products using those patents. But nevertheless, they've got it, and one suspects they wouldn't even have bothered to file for it unless they considered it important. And it's and particularly for Michael Bays as the inventor, I guess. Anyway, yeah, putting that away, just coming back up to old thingy again. Um, yeah, so this is the week before last. Looking at all that news, really. Robert Scoble was quoted as saying there are many XR prototypes inside Apple at the moment. They're verifying what works and what not, and this can just be one of them that will be discarded or that may be heavily modified before reaching the market. We'll see. Right. And Oh, sorry. That quote, however, is referring to the hybrid VR AR visor, which again they have heard the rumor about as a possibility, but no facts about that at all. Just opinion. Right. Amazon have bought a company called Umbra. Know little about them. They come from Finland, and they're one of the most advanced technologies in the world to manage giant 3D models in the cloud. Technology mostly employed for gaming, but could also be used for AR and VR as well. Details undisclosed, as always. And this other stuff, I'm rushing down here. This is basically we're talking about items from 2 weeks ago. Um, yeah, I think that's all I can pick up on. Yeah, we may have covered a lot of this earlier last week, what's in there, but it's always a good site to check out this. At the beginning of the week. It's published every Monday and, reviews the week before. So this was the one on January 25th, and the website you want is skarredghost.com, scarredghost.com for that one. Right, now we're moving. We need a different sound effect here because we're moving on to the engine. Yes, it's vroom dot buzz VRROOM dot BU Z. Pixar. I'm sure you know all about Pixar. Legendary animation studio, really. Their founder is talking about VR and the future of storytelling. And this is where it is. Um, it was a Zoom call that was recorded basically. President of Disney Animation, Ed Catmull, and master story poser Harold O'Neill, plus Jeff Pigeon. And yeah, this is a roundup here. I think this, I'm just trying to judge. This is really an article. I think there may be a video to go with it. Oh, there's a bit of recognizable Pixar. And of course, they're responsible for the movie that came out on Christmas Day, Soul, which is superb piece of work there. Yeah, here we are. Later on, it comes. There's a section titled "Virtuality in the Future of Storytelling," and the computer animated hand was 1972, but this is one of their earliest 3D computer graphic things. But obviously, things are much more. Oh, remember that one? Although it was never as fully rendered with a background back in the day.
True,
Anyway,
true.
load of stuff there, and yeah, you've got the whole interview here, and a whole load to read on that one. So not directly related to virtual reality or virtual worlds, but so closely so that worthy of a read there. So you find that at VRROOM.BUZZ. Moving on to this is Venturebeast.com. Now this is the site that hosted the GameSpeed conference and the Metaverse conference midweek. And as they did so, they were tweeting events coming up at the conference and reviews of ones that were actually over. The big news here was that this was before the conference. The news that IMVU, which is a sort of, if you can imagine, a sort of more teeny sort of user demographic version
Yeah, yeah.
of Second Life or something. Apparently, they're relaunching a whole thing. Goodbye IMVU. They're now going to be known as Together Labs. 35 million US dollars, and they've got a new division called With Me Entertainment, focusing on user-generated content, including games. Together Labs will continue to operate the platform IMVU, where young folks
Hmm.
create their own avatars. Now it's moving to an adjacent space targeting teens aging 13 to 17 via With Me. So they're still going for the young market, etc. Also, of course, as we heard that recently, they've also launched Vcoin, which is an Ethereum type, digital currency. And they have been promoting that no end, and there's quite a number of interviews from them promoting that too. Some of which barely even mention IMVU. The Vcoin operation is almost standalone. They want it to power the whole virtual economy in the metaverse, etc. And they quote Snow Crash and Ready Player One, of course. And at the GameSpeed Summit into the Metaverse, we started on January 27th and 28th. That was right. One of the sessions was them talking about this too. So we'll get to that a bit later. Anyway, this if you want this press release or article, I should say, oh, cough cough, go to venturebeat.com, venturebeat.com. And moving on. Ah, this is being a bit of a pain earlier. I hope it's going to, yeah, okay, it's loaded this time. Okay, this site is analyticinsight.net. So ANAE. So sorry, anal. Oh, God. Anal?
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, okay. Oops. Right, I'm going to letter by
I,
letter here.
I do.
ANA. Sorry.
Well, I do analytics at work, and so I'm always running up against that unfortunate word.
Yeah, I know. Yes, exactly. Oh dear, no, we're not talking about Trump here. Right. analyticsinsigt.net. And they're looking at the future communication, and virtual reality is stepping up. Yes, indeed it is. This is just one of those links that reinforces what most of us already know. But it's always a good link to send to people who maybe don't know, if you see what I mean. It's also mentioning the virus driving up record numbers of workers remotely working from home, etc., etc. And Walmart's doing their employee training with it, and um, um, Google's Daydream VR group. Now, Daydream is long gone. I don't know what they're talking about here, saying that they're exploring different avenues regarding a virtual coffee machine. I think that's a bit out of date, that one. But anyway, go on to Altspace VR, and then they talk about some architects utilizing virtuality for car design evaluation, etc., etc. So you'll find this at analyticsinsight.net. Uh, Miss any of these, and if you go to twitter.com/malbones, you will find the post, and that's advantageous in that it will take you to the exact page you need rather than the headline of the site. Okay, we're jumping into the new. It seems like we've just had the last one, but the Sundance Film Festival continues virtual. Um, and Sundance 2021 in VR. Um, they build a virtual solution to present new frontiers, solve many problems we're having with on the ground. And this is the exciting part. This is a life raft that ended up being the Cadillac we'll be driving into the future. So you've got a video here, which I think, oh, it's 25 seconds, so I can afford the time to show you that, if it wants to play, of course. So January 28th through to February 3rd. So I guess Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday still to go this coming week if you can make it there. You can get it on the. It looks like you're stepping into a cinephile version of Second Life, but slap on a headset like Oculus Quest or any number of PC-powered VR solutions, and you'll be launched into an immersive WebXR experience. To build the platform, Sundance worked with Creative Studio Active Theory and whatever. Now, what I wanted to how do we get in there?
Yeah, exactly.
um, right. Okay. Well, there's various links on here, but what I guess it's a dedicated platform that will work in various headsets and on the desktop. All of the VR rooms have places to sit. VR avatars are basic, simple arms and legs. Well, at least they're not legless, along with bulbous heads. Gosh, golly. Um, right, Cinema House, fully realised VR theatre. Right, okay. This is very, very helpful. Nice long article telling us all about it, everything except where to go. Um, okay, I'm not sure. I'm going to just click on New Frontier exhibit there. That may
Yeah,
be
that's where I was
the
looking
one.
too, and I see the dreaded F word.
Right, well, they do mention Oculus.
Yeah, yep.
Um, yeah. Um, okay, well, unless we come across it later in this show, which I doubt, I think I'll just have to let you go there to check it out. The one I've clicked through to here is engadget.com. That's engadget.com. And if oh, so wrong browser. Sorry. Uh, previous page. Here we are. And oh yeah, and actually, sorry, both articles are at engadget.com. The most recent being this one we started with. Um, yeah, we'll move to. I mean, there's only 3 days left of this particular one, so I'd suggest you actually go to this and try and find some links. There may be another mention of this coming up later, but I'm not going to dwell on it. We've done the Apple patent business already, so okay. Now this one is a site called allwork.space, ALLWORK dot, and then SPACE is the suffix, so whatever. But I have to say, the Internet of Senses in the virtual future of work. I love this. I just locked onto this expression. I mean, we've got the Internet of Things, which is like, that your fridge freezer, smartphone, smart toys, and everything else like that. But they're using this phrase, the Internet of Senses, which I think is rather. It's a sort of way of discussing immersion. Side of what we call the metaverse. After all, it really, virtual reality is, if nothing else, is technology that will simulate all these senses. Now, we're not quite there on smell and taste and even temperature yet, but, we've got touch and we've got sound and we've got vision. But a new report has suggested that by 2030, which is only 10 years away, really, and, look at 10 years back. We already, look how much has happened in 10 years back and imagine what will happen in 10 years forward. The new report that suggests by 2030 the virtual reality office will enable people to experience all of the senses, including touch, taste, smell, and even temperature. And the report came from Ericsson, the multinational network and telecom company, and was basically looking at the workplace 10 years from now. And yeah, the internet of senses, though, isn't that a great name? Isn't that a great description?
Yeah,
I'll have to
sure.
try and memorize. Have to try and memorize that so that I can use it in my context when I need to. Um, anyway, the survey had quite a few conclusions. Employees want a dematerialized office. That's- yeah, we want dematerialized office. That might be a better way of putting that, but never mind. Oh dear, the Sims down.
Hmm.
My my desk is no longer raised; it's dematerialized. Anyway, you get the idea. Pandemic as a digital tipping point. That's pretty obvious, and there's going to be environmental benefits, of course. 77% surveyed believe that companies will be more sustainable overall. Um, Sales and marketing were the biggest areas likely to take over. Um, okay, I'm going to pass on better tasting cafeteria food. 73 senior managers think it would be possible to have digitally enhanced cafeteria food that can taste like anything, which would offset costs and increase the perceived quality of food. In other words,
Mm.
the artificial food will taste better when it's just made from its raw proteins and stuff. And say Star Trek, isn't it? Or Star Wars. Yeah, virtual full set environments will not just replace the days in the office. It's predicted that the Internet of Sensors will be used to change other business and social environments. So anyway, you can imagine what this goes on about there. It's not particularly long, but I'm not going to read it all out for you. So basically, it is a report from Ericsson, and I'll repeat the early one for this. It's all workspace. That's ALLWORK .SPACE. Right. Now we mentioned it. I mentioned this, of course, at the very beginning, on when we were on the picture show department, so to speak. This is Tim Sweeney. The quote that's this has been retweeted everywhere. The Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney. The open metaverse requires companies to have an enlightened self-interest. People like that quote. um, Uh, right. 20 years ago, at the dawn of Xbox, Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney convinced Bill Gates to spend $1 billion more memory chips for the Xbox. He faced a lot of pressure, but Tim didn't back down, and after all, it was Bill Gates' money. Anyway, it proved to be the right thing to do. And Epic now, of course, have Fortnite, which has 350 million users and has just recently raised 1.7 billion. That's the B one. 1.7 billion US dollars. It's also launched an antitrust lawsuit against Apple, but we'll pass on that bit, I think. Right. Anyway, they had the fireside chat into the metaverse, which was um, at the show, so to speak. And this is really a roundup of it. All of them are now available for replay, not just by following the article blogs, but uh, like here, if I what I'm going to do is I'm going very quickly. I think we may have it later, but oh God, uh, go to YouTube here. Right. Okay. So all the sessions that I'm referring to, God, it must have been about 15, 20 of them. ranging from the one with Philip about sound and this about the open metaverse, plus all sorts of them. They're all at YouTube. No, sorry, I tell a lie. They're all at Vimeo here. Vimeo is Vimeo. It's a sort of like YouTube, but not YouTube. And the account you want is Venturebeast, Venture, capital Beat. And I think I should be following them. Why? Oh, I probably am actually. I'm in the wrong browser. It doesn't know who I am. Right. At least it's not Facebook. Right. I'm gonna send that to my aggregation thing. Right. Yes, I hope. Yes, it did go. Right. Okay, so you go to vimeo.com and look up the account for VentureBeat. And when you get there, you will actually find a whole load of stuff that's been posted during the week. Um, Eve Online, Metaverse Blueprint, 5G and the Metaverse was another one. Making Friends in the Metaverse was another one. You see, all these are slightly like Zoom calls, really, but very interesting talks. So, or even the boring ones were interesting, and that's saying something. Like the finance ones are intriguing. Stepping stones to Oasis, the Oasis, of course, referring to Ready Player One's thingy. No, sorry. Um, Oh, I'm getting confused now. Snow Crash Oasis, yeah. Um, Town Hall closing session. Tim Sweeney back on that one, and also Dean from GameSpeed. Storytelling to story living. That was another. They're all good ones, so I can't really. Diversity in the metaverse. Welcome day two. That was well. That really was just a recording of the welcome. Ready Player 10, that's Dean again, talking to. Oh, it's hard to make out from the thumbnails. Every time I mouse over them, they start, which is nice. Blockchain in the metaverse. Yeah, so they were looking at some of the new platforms and then loading more, going down here. Mergers and acquisitions behind the deal during a pandemic. Um, oh, hang on. That may be something from another session that actually slipped into this playlist. Um, Growth opportunities to Facebook perspective. Yes, I don't. Those weren't part of the metaverse strand. Okay, another one are the ethics of the metaverse. Right, this Richard Bartle, who's was one of the earliest pioneers of what they used to call MUDs back in the day, and very early active person there. I barely recognised him, of course, but he's a Brit. But I mean, he's been around so long. I haven't actually seen his face for so long that you don't always recognise people. Anyway, how to build the metaverse. This was people on how to get stuff up and running, basically, platform wise, and right. Um, Skipping ahead here because there's quite a few there that aren't. They're probably from the actual games conference as opposed to metaverse one. Here we are. Another one on meta enterprise in the metaverse was another one. And as I say, even the boring ones were quite interesting. If you, well, it depends on what you're into. I don't imagine you're going to all go here and watch every single one, but you can get the idea of the variety here. Listen to the Metaverse. This was all about sound. This was the one that had Philip Rosedale and uh, come on, stop doing that. And the chap from Dolby. Another one with Metaverse startups um, uh, down there. Evolution of bots and future predictions. The future economy of the metaverse, and metaverse and transmedia narratives, and tools of the metaverse was another one. Breaking the fourth wall was another one. Um, this I don't think was from the conference. Notes from our science fiction future, but actually I was watching that. That was quite interesting too. Making the metaverse personal There's another one. Will VR unlock the promise of the metaverse? Again, some of these got very general titles. Others, you can tell from the title, are very specific. Virtual beings and the metaverse. Another one there. Investing in the metaverse. As I say, so, there's interest in all of this. And oh, actually, one of the things I really liked here was this chap here is at the bottom right there is Ian Livingstone, who was one of the founders of something predating computers, really, as that's the Games Workshop. I remember Steve, he had a partner, I don't think it was Steve Livingstone, I can't remember. Again, yeah, a long while ago. Ian Livingstone is now knighted, actually. I should call him Sir Steve Livingstone. Um, for contributions to, I don't know, what, gaming or something. But he's very interesting too, because obviously when he's talking with a huge wealth of experience behind him. Blueprints for the open metaverse. Why we need an open metaverse, and then into the metaverse. This was Dean Takahashi, or however you pronounce it. My apologies, Dean. His intro to things, and I think, um, yeah, that's it. There are a few earlier ones about how to participate, but they've obviously become dated now. So go to vimeo.com, vimeo.com, and then look up the account for VentureBeast. See, I'm just highlighting it there, and you'll have access to all those videos. They're all free to look at. It's just as easy as going to YouTube, except it's not YouTube. If you get my meaning. Right, okay, get back here again, he says. Okay, and this is venturebeat.com, the website, and they've got a number of articles which not only have embeds of those movies, or sessions, I should say, but they have kind of articles to sort of go with them, summarizing what was said on them. So you can you can almost watch them all by reading the reviews. I don't know which is quicker, basically. Well, you can do both. Right, moving on. I've often referred to my fondness, although I don't use it very often, for my little Leap Motion gadget. Here it's. Oh, sorry. I was just holding it up to the camera, saying, "Here it is," but we
Hmm.
got a bit of a. James does not have a camera for my real life mugshot, so that's not going to help.
I can put
Right.
it in if you want, but we won't do that.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not well groomed or fully dressed. You know
It's
what David's
probably
like.
dark by now too.
It is, but it doesn't affect my cameras.
Okay, okay, good.
I've got enough daylight. All my cameras seem to be very effective at night, which is disconcerting, really. It'd be nice to go on with a candle beside me where you can't see
Mm.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but yeah, that's true. Well, we'll leave that for another day when I'm properly groomed and whatever. Right. Um, okay. Yeah. Well, the new incarnation of Leap Motion
Magic
really
leap
is
motion.
not, no, Magic Leap. Sorry, Ultra Leap. Yeah, Leap Motion, not Magic Leap. Right. It's called going to be called Gemini, and it's the fifth generation of the hand tracking software that, as I say, used to be Leap Motion. It's now known as Ultra Leap, and it rewrote the tracking from the ground up to allow increased flexibility and compatibility with different types of hardware and platforms. The software will be integrated in Varjo and XR3 headsets, and Qualcomm announced Ultra Leap's Gemini software will be in their headset design. Um, Common problem is decreased performance when both hands are placed in close proximity, etc. A good example of this is the hand tracking found in Oculus Quest and Quest 2. While reliable, it will easily get confused when both hands interact with each other. Um, so basically, it's a different solution for hand tracking from the people who once upon a time brought you Leap Motion. So very short post that actually, but you'll find it at uploadvr.com, uploadvr.com. Right, moving on again. We're back to Venturebeast, another one of the articles that accompanied their films. How sound technologies can bring emotion to the metaverse. Um, this is the summary of what Philip and here we are, Andy Vaughan. That's the name of the guy from Dolby. So Philip Rosedale and Andy Vaughan, basically on the video we showed you a minute ago, they're talking about some crucial things, particularly mono problems. But this is a very short roundup summary. You'll get much more out of listening to the video on that one for sure. Right, we're back to that noisy engine.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Battle got quite a few at Vroom. The next one after this is Vroom 2. VROOM.BUZZ. And yeah, but I mentioned this to James before we came on air, I think. You know, that
Hmm.
Mozilla hubs are now supporting Edge and Chrome in Windows Mixed Reality. So it got a major redesign, and it also now supports Edge and Chrome in the Windows Mixed Reality. Windows Mixed Reality is, of course, one of the headsets. Presumably, it will work in other headsets too. Um, yeah, well, you use hubs in your Oculus one, don't you,
Hmm.
James?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so presumably it's just an extension of not only the headsets but also the way you can get at it. If you can get it in Edge and Chrome, for example. Right. Many recognize hubs as a way to socialize in VR, but according to Mozilla, the majority of people use it for non-VR devices. So improving the experience on non-VR devices was a large part of the recent redesign. You haven't used it this week, I gather, James. So I'd be interested to know what
I
I will
haven't
no
done it.
doubt check it out myself
Yeah,
because the
me too.
redesign is geared for non VR. So we'll definitely check it out. In fact, I might even be able to check it out for you live. Okay, let me just create a room. It's all very easy. This no Second Life downloads or anything like that. You just go in, go to the website, it loads it. Takes a little while to load the objects, but usually not long. Usually not long. Ah, here we are. Entering room. Get on with it. Right, and yeah, enter on device. That would do. Never mind. Spectate. Okay. As you can see, you've got a very ready-built room there, and you can hold an event in that, or you can indeed create what you want. They're telling me at the bottom here I'm in the lobby. Others cannot see or hear me yet. I would actually have to join the room, and for many rooms, it's a bit like Zoom. You need to you will get an invite, and you click on the invite to take you into the room you've been invited to. Oops, not not intentional. That go away. Yeah, we got people. Oh, apparently I'm Makoa Duck. Hey, what happened to Mel Burns? Yeah, I'm a bit lazy here, you see. I'm in Safari, which I don't use very much, so I haven't got an account registered in this particular browser. Anyway, where we're looking now at the moment is just hubsmozilla.com, so HUBS .mozilla.com, and going to that address will take you into a demo room. And although you can't see it at the bottom of my screen here, I've got a button for chatting and a button for joining the room, and then a button called More, which tells me, I can favorite the room and tell me more about the rooms and change my name and avatar, and I can even create my own room. So all very easy at Mozilla Hubs. I'm now clicking the back button, and oh yeah, sorry, same site actually. Basically, it's that's the way you see it in reader mode. Um, there we are. Mozilla Hub support Edge and Chrome. Yep, so that's about it. We're still there. Might as well rev the engine again, rather appropriately for the next one. Yeah, I'm sure the Royal Navy have quite a few engines in their arsenal.
Hmm.
Right, from Lisa. I don't know whether I should promote this or not, but it is of the field, so to speak. Laser
What is
guided
news?
missiles in combat, virtual reality simulations in training. The Royal Navy Fleet Air Arm's Wildcat and Merlin MK helicopters are powered by cutting edge tech on their maritime missions. 2 a.m. over the icy North Sea, and the Merlin MK2 crew are in desperate straits. The aircraft is fast running out of fuel above the treacherous waters. They have two options: either land the helicopter, good idea, back on the ship deck as it rolls along the violent sea, or plummet into the icy depths. No contest there, I would have thought. With next to no visibility and seconds ticking away, the crew has little choice but to hand their lives over to the pilot and pray they make it home. Thankfully, it's a simulation. Of course it was. What did you think it was? Right. Yeah. It's like Air Force, everybody else. The more, and well, Navy helicopters kind of come in between. They've got Army helicopters, they've got Navy helicopters, and they've got Air Force helicopters, and they're all aircraft, if you get my meaning. Anyway, enough for me being flippant. Yeah, no official secrets being revealed here. Just a bit of PR for the military, or rather the Navy. Um, I have noticed on mainstream TV, which I never watch, but occasionally get forced to watch halfway an advert halfway through the news. In Britain, they're doing a lot of advertising for military recruits these days. Obviously they're doing advertising for medical recruits too, but interesting that well, I suppose now we're left there at Europe, we may have to defend ourselves against, I don't know, an invasion from over there. Who
Yeah, well,
knows?
the U.S. is
Uh,
using military to support the vaccine rollout. So maybe that's also the case in Europe.
yes, yeah, they're doing it here. Europe, yeah, well, Europe's way behind.
Yeah, yeah.
Europe almost went to war. we're we're barely a month into Brexit, and we almost went to war midweek
Mm, mm,
because the Europeans you see, they roll out the vaccine Europe wide, and the nations themselves don't have anything to do with it. But all the bureaucratic red tape of Europe. I mean, they've got, instead of rolling out like 20% like we have or whatever, they've rolled out something like half a percent.
mm, mm,
And of course, the nations are unhappy about this, but they have to blame the EU. And the EU suddenly got a bee in its bonnet about, well, there's a factory making it, but here in Britain, we're getting most of it. But that proves not to be true because it's the formula. Um, the AstraZeneca one was made here in Britain at Oxford University, but in Belgium the manufacturing goes to Europe. In Britain, it's obviously manufactured in Britain, so we don't have to import it. So but because we're doing so well getting it out and about, the EU decided that wasn't good enough. They wanted to hijack all the British manufactured vaccine and prioritize it for Europe on a sort of fair, equal measure for nations thing. But we're no longer in Europe. So they threatened to, they momentarily, at least for several hours or overnight, um, activated some kind of section thing of the European agreement, only to realise that they were about to start a war in Northern Ireland again because it would have required a hard border. They decided maybe that hadn't been a good idea.
well, glad for that.
Yeah, it's their own fault. I mean, I was not a Brexiteer. I liked being in Europe, but quite frankly, this vaccination thing is something we have fight. Well, I mean, we've messed up the COVID thing. We're way behind, and we got greater figure for deaths and people picking up. But on the vaccine, purely on the vaccine front, we seem to have got to grips with it rather well. I mean, we had a half-hearted, well, a small scale part of the infrastructure was already there because of the way we deliver flu jabs, I guess. I mean, I have my flu jab every autumn, it's offered by routine. But, no, apparently they've pulled out this, we've successfully pulled out the stops on this and left Europeans scratching their heads. So, how did they do it? Hey, we want theirs. Anyway, no, sorry, not going into that anyway. But no, it's true. Military increasingly use virtual reality simulations. But I what I really actually like to see. And they do have run throughs this year, but like emergency planning, like uh, in Britain back in the Second World War days, we part of the Ministry of War, as it was called there, was actually civil defence, which was like you had the army, the air force, the navy, but you also had civil defence, which were like civilians who were kind of the dad's army kind of things at home. Some of them were older than could serve in the war and other reasons. It was a home guard. And after the war, they just as the Ministry of War was renamed the Ministry of Defence, the civil defence people were called civil aid. And well, I'm way off subject here, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I used to be involved with management of pop festivals, rock festivals in the 70s, 80s. So we would often get the civil aid guys in as part of our welfare sort of thing, just like the Red Cross always want to be there and the Samaritans always want to be there, all the regular sort of aid people want to be there and have their little tent. But civil aid were absolutely wonderful. They had all these volunteers that were kind of they were there to mobilize in the case of disaster, and they saw rock festivals as a perfect training ground. They didn't charge us any money to come, which was very unusual, and they brought food that they handed out, and high proteins and stuff for people, and they brought food, and they had the medical wing. They could tackle anything. All the smaller specialist welfare groups, were very much into their own thing, but still they just did was, and it was just practice. And I keep thinking now, well, you get simulations for the conflict business of army, navy, whatever, but we could it'd be really useful to have kind of some metaverse in type environment online that is a simulation for disaster planning where individual citizens I'm thinking Britain here, but it could be anywhere, I guess, could log in as themselves and they could volunteer virtually to be with the civil aid people. Although I think it's mostly left to territorial army, they're called now. um, but to practice the disaster scenarios, which often do depend on civilian organizations, especially if there's a conflict involved, they tackle it at home while the other military doing the more serious stuff, I guess. I just would like to see a simulation like that where you're not shooting at things or whatever, but you're, maybe working in stealth to watch out for invasion, but also the logistics of coordinating things when the rest of society is breaking down. I mean, if we'd had something like that, it might have been a real enhancement for the age of COVID we're now in. We could have had an infrastructure virtually already there, which would have allowed people in a kind of mirror environment to um, uh, collaborate and prepare for possibly the worst. Anyway, rabbit hole, get out there quick, Mal, get out, pull me out.
You knew you were going there, so
Yeah, I was waiting
I
for James to throw the hangman's noose down.
no.
Pull me up with the hangman's noose. No, maybe not that one. Okay. So that was VRROOM.BU again. And now we're going to move on to the more spooky one again. We're back on old spooks here.
Hmm.
The Scarred Ghost. Ooh, Yeah, sorry about that. Right, Vision AR offering smart glasses that can protect your eyes. Um, this being so Ghost, it is a longish read for just one product. That's the product. Um, the idea, it's an Italian company called Unives, and actually Skull Ghost does originate in Italy. I'm pretty sure, by the way. He's got a more Eastern Europe sounding accent, but I'm pretty sure it's Italy. And basically, he's just doing an interview here. with the people behind Vision AR's smart glasses. These are kind of unusual. Going back to that one there, it is clearly a pair of glasses. But on the other hand, the additional stuff that's added into it does. It's far from being a headset, but they don't look the most uncumbersome. And I can't really. Well, let's play the video here for a little second. They're not too cumbersome, and yeah, 48 seconds. We can afford this. Well, that actually didn't really tell us too much, except that
No.
they are self-assembly. Yeah, I thought we were going to get a complete run through of the quick assembly process, but never mind. Anyway, the story goes back to 2016 when there was a proposal from Sony in a holographic waveguide, a part of glasses suitable for prolonged use, comfortable, reliable, and light. And yeah, there's a sort of film view of them. Um, okay, picture. Notice the protective cover they have in front of them. There does seem to be quite a lot there. There's the glasses, the protective cover, and then I'm not quite sure what this is. It looks like. Remember, one thing I never liked was the look of Google Glass when it came out because it, apart from the fact it didn't balance properly on your nose because it had a rather heavyweight object on the other one of its sides. It also looks a bit ugly, and that's the same thing here. I mean, what is that that means it's not on the other side too? I don't know, but anyway, details about this here, and a lot of details. In fact, the video show very little. Oh, there it is. Oh, that's the zoom. Because it's transparent, it allows the glasses to be certified as PPE. Oh, that's interesting. Um, okay. Well, a lot to read there. If you want to know about that, it's Scar Ghost, so it'd be pretty thorough. That's actually one of the shortest reviews I've ever seen by him, and it still
Hmm.
scrolls under the floor. It still goes under the floor. So SKARREDGHOST.com, scarghost.com. And new technology. We've got old technology that does this, but now we've got new technology that can reduce motion sickness associated with VR headsets. Right now, this is a site called techexplore.com, TECXPLORE.com, and by the National Research Council of Science and Technology. Um, I'm fascinated when I read this. I keep see things like that. Is this something in Britain? Is this something in the US? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, sure, it's the National Research Council, but which nation? Please tell me. Anyway, they have software that can accurately predict the level of sickness. I'm not sure I like the sound of that. It's like sort of, right, I'm going to put my headset on. I better just look up how sick I'm going to be.
Right.
Not whether I'm going to be sick, but how sick. I don't know. Anyway, serious sort of analytical stuff here. About VR sickness, which is a factor. Even the best headsets create VR sickness with some people, and you could argue that even I get it. I mean, don't think dizziness and the uncomfortable of the weight. I don't know what I call it sickness, but it's certainly not comfortable. Whereas people find it perfectly easy. Um, so that shows you these guys editing content to reduce sickness. uh, credit the Electronics and Telecommunications Research Institute. Again, I have no. Oh, hang on. Co-UK. Well, maybe no Ministry of Science and ICT. We don't have that. Okay, I have. Well, interesting science there. Um, it could even be in Korea, although they're referring there to. It might be Korea, oddly enough. The what they're talking about here. Anyway, yeah, I mean, science is science. It's pretty universal, really. So, you in this article you'll find at Tech Explore. That's TECHXPLORE .com. Talking of exploring, it's time for me to scroll to the bottom of my list. Right, moving on to a site called virtualperceptions.com. And this is a chap called Tom Fisk, spelled with two F's, by the way, unusual spelling there. And distinguishing between one macro metaverse and several micro metaverses. This is fun. Some people just have to push the envelope in um, reference technology, don't they? Anyway, this starts in 1900 with a German chocolate factory, but it's uh, what's people flying? Oh yeah, they had a like science fiction postcards with the visions of the 21st century, and the image is now laughable because it's a shot of insight that never saw the light of day. The pull of the postcards is not its inaccuracy; it's they provided a window into how our past generations hoped for the future, basing on their understanding of the world and technologies at that time. And yeah, as you can see, there's a few um, rather odd things. However, this is not the whole article. Um, we're talking about predictions in general being influenced by services provided in our present right now. And therefore, the reference to micro metaverses and macro metaverse. Well, it's in the context when you read the article. Most of the examples featured here, like Roblox, tend to be rather new ones. What is the VR AR metaverse? Fortnite, another really one of the big new ones, and of course it does have to mention the F core. Um, where are we? Pieces of the macroverse, exploring the metaverse. Okay, that's it. Tom is based in London and specializes in writing about AR, VR, and MR, but he's certainly not. We are. Ha ha. Right. Sorry. Get away with that. Right. I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on. Interesting article, though, if you're into that kind of thing. A lot of it, too. Um, Okay, this was today, I do believe. Charlie thinks week in XR, Quest sales boost, etc., etc. This is at Forbes.com, Forbes. For some reason, they allowed me in today. I think it's the fact that I'm viewing it in this viewer mode. Whether it let me into the actual website is another matter, because they're doing paywall. But they're this again. It's like our show really on in print at Forbes. Zuckerberg has announced yet another Quest is in the works. Just says he's got another one to sell when everybody's bought the one he's already got. The news about Tilt Bush, sorry, sound like I got a flash of Tina Turner there. What was it? Something Bush City Limits. Tilt Bush. Never mind. Tilt Bush by Google. Come on, James, pull me out of it. Right, coming open source. Shutterstock Bind Turbo Squid. Gravity Sketch is now free, of course, and Valve and OpenBMC brain computer interface stuff. Basically, it's the whole roundup thing there, yet again. So you'll find that at Forbes.com, Forbes, and it's the weekly entitled This Week in XR. Charlie Fink also does a podcast that uses the same title, though it's not published by Forbes. It's sort of separate venture, I think. Not as I've seen one for this week. Okay, now if you do use the F Cores version 1 of their Questy thingy, then there's a little article here at the engine site discussing 15 accessories that can enhance your VR experience. So there you go. A display stand for your controllers, a mat, Space Station 3, Logitech gaming earphones, AMVR power bank bracket. What the? Oh, I get it. Right. VR power plug, VR GE power bank, Oculus Link cable, touch controller, grip covers, Oculus Link cable, lens cleaning pad, Anker's charging dock, the Elite strap. Gosh golly, can't use the Quest without an Elite strap, can you? Otherwise, you're not one of the elite. Sorry. Prescription lens adapter. That could be definitely be a useful one. And best carrying case, the best lens cover, and the best way to avoid sweating all over your headset. Top Covers VR silicone interfacial cover. Gosh golly. Anyway, I know many of you, including my companion James here, are users of the Oculus Quest or the Quest 2, I believe it is. Yeah. So those are just a few things that might interest you to make your life in a quest a more comfortable quest. Play on words there. Naughty me. Right. Train your brain. We're back on Vroom. So rather, we're still on Vroom to put it put it put it the right way. Train your brain and body with React or sorry, well, REAKT. I mean, it's React to me for Oculus Quest. So this is something else for the F-Cores headset. Performance trainer. Um, what about providing meaningful training which can improve attributes like concentration and awareness? So basically, this is just an app for the Quest headset. I must say, I was looking at the pictures earlier. This came in today, and I thought, oh, looks quite interesting. Though it's obviously a montage there. And yeah, trailer trainer coming soon. Let's have a quick look. 40 seconds. Well, January 28th, so it sounds like we're there. Or Biff Buff Kaboom, as they used to do in the old comics. Right. So that's VRROOM dot BUZZ, room dot buzz, yet again. And third time, third, yes, a third rev of the engine. This I almost missed. I actually have a feed that gets me sort of various information about comics and stuff like that, which I kind of skim over. I'm not involved with them in any way these days, really. But um, I almost missed this. So it was actually a couple of days after it was published. I came back to it and actually realised that I hadn't quite read the crucial words in this title. I thought it said DC's Teen Titans, a superhero group, explained, a new graphic novel. So I thought, oh God, yeah, DC have put their superheroes into a graphic novel to make them be more serious or something. I completely missed the bit about explain VR.
Okay.
Because of what I normally see. And in fact, basically, some creatures called Cyborg and Beast Boy actually have a chapter in Flash Facts, an up and coming graphic novel, and it explains science for kids. And they have a chapter explaining virtual reality. So it's sort of It's educational comics, I suppose, really, with a chapter actually on
Hmm.
virtual reality. And yeah, you can't see it here, but you can click on an embed on the website to see an extract from the graphic novel in question. And yeah, once again, it's room.buzz. Yeah. Oh dear me. How many times can I say it in a day?
I know.
VRROOM.BUZZ. And we're moving on to something that's much more difficult but more familiar. It's
Oh
hypergridbusiness.com.
yeah.
Yes, exactly, you know that. HYPERGRIDBUSINESS.com. And this is, oh, we're actually moving into stuff that will be at twitter.com/slash Metaworld News now. We seem to be on what I call the dividing point. I hadn't realized it. Okay. So on that feed, OpenSim Performance protest of fan group restrictions on the alternative metaverse grid. I don't know what, you know, this could almost be Second Life news, the protest about whatever or whatever. But apparently there's a grid, OpenSim grid called the alternate metaverse, which has got restrictions on groups or something.
Hmm.
And apparently, music club owners, performers, and other users are being pissed off. Um, it's needless to say, the protest, and this I really got to wonder about this. The protest starts at 9 a.m. Last Thursday. I don't really know what happened. And the protest happened at the Gasworks region on guess where? It's the Avi Worlds grid.
Mm.
And it features speakers, musicians, DJs, and vocalists. There's, all those are vocalists, aren't they? Anyway, and the hypergrid address. The protests are upset that Alternative Metaverse Grid is prohibiting the promotion of events on other grids, and some say their fan groups have been deleted. Um, so anyway, this could almost be a PR for Abbey Worlds, or it could be rigged. It's I'm I'm not really sure this is even important enough to have merited an article, but Hypergrid Business has certainly gone with it, that's for sure. Um, it is interesting, but I mean, you know, I run a Discord channel, which many of you probably know, called Hypergrid Adventurers and Explorers. And we have different, well, it's a server, and we have different channels for music, events, places. And it goes without saying that OpenSim, and especially the hypergrid, it's all about interconnectivity. You don't have 1,000 concerts on one grid during the course of an evening, but you might have them spread over several thousand grids, and you have to hypergrid between them. And it's part of the course that, you know, if you're holding, you know, if you've got a blues band appearing in your venue one evening, you probably want to advertise it not only on your own grid, but also in appropriate places across the hypergrid, you know, where people are likely to jump in and come, you know. And if they've got compatible funds, maybe tip the artist or whatever. But you know, it's not a big business thing by any manner of means. And you know, it's virtually unheard of a grid to start up on OpenSim with hypergrid enabled, and then to start blocking publicity for other grids. I mean, you know, in terms of just general, I suppose, hyperlinks or whatever. It's not actually that easy to do. I mean, I'm sure they could block groups, like fan groups and musicians, but um, well, I'd have to ask somebody about the technical side of that. I mean, let's say I have a group in World called Metaverse Music, and the group is made on a world like DigiWorlds. So technically, it's a DigiWorlds group. Now, if they're configured the right way, those groups can exist in your interface, even though you're on a separate grid. So, although the group belongs to Digital Worlds, there's nothing to stop people advertising events in that group, even though they won't be on Digital Worlds, they'll be on another grid. Um, Clearly, what's going on here is that the alternate metaverse is um, taking as many steps as they can to avoid things like that happening. Um, Why be on the hypergrid at all if that's the attitude? Why not just set up a private grid? And that way, people aren't going to come in from other grids to see your musicians, and maybe you lose out. I don't know. It seems an odd thing to be. I won't say it's an odd thing to be protesting, but it is not a great thing to be protesting. So this is an awful lot of coverage for something I think is fairly not actually that consequential. But there we go. You can find the post at hypergridbusiness.com, hypergridbusiness.com. And back to YouTube here. Right. Again, all this is stuff that is posted in bed codes or at our hypergrid hypergrid business. Sorry, Metaworld News Twitter. Sorry. Right. This is a product meetup. This is earlier in the week.
So,
So
as always,
as
be
always.
sure to type out your questions because the question.
Okay, this is actually in Santa here, and this is actually a product meetup. This is not a regular weekly one. I'm sad I didn't get here. It's a bit of a delay before I found out about events happening on Sansar, and of course many of them are in the evening or late, well, too late UK time, should I say? Anyway, this was they were actually introducing some of themselves, and they were talking about the future of Sansar. So it wasn't the regular weekly meeting where users are there to ask questions. This was more a piece on the future. It's not too long either. It's only 35 minutes, but obviously that is longer than I have got to play it for you. Right. Now next one is quite interesting too. Good too. This is at a site called exhibitionnews.uk. So that's exhibitionnews.uk. And basically, it's about a venue in London here called Tobacco Dog, which is joined up with Sansar, where we are now, of course, to create a digital recreation of the venue. Um, and they're recreating it in minute detail. Yes, indeed they are. And hang on, I go get to the web page here. I think there's a video for this. Maybe not. No, just a picture. Don't know why. I thought I had a video of this. Okay. Rather unusual site for this, but it's the only place I found any reference to it so far. And so exhibitionnews.uk, and this was posted on January 28th, which is what Friday, I think, or Thursday, something like that. Right. Moving again to video. This is another one from Sansar. The the YouTube account, like the previous one, is God, they're noisy. Right. Yeah,
Wow.
the account at YouTube is Sansar. As was the previous one, by the way, of course, the product meetup. And this basically is a roundup of parties in the new year. It's not. It's just a fun thing, really. Not much to talk about there. It's 30 minutes of fun on video. It's not as intriguing as the ones they release where they cover 6 new locations and things like that. Locations of the month or whatever. Parties are just parties really, but they're all very colourful and what have you, and they are filmed in VR, so you get the headset view, shall we say, as opposed to just a screen view. Right. Staying where we are, YouTube. Now, this is an introduction to Vicadia,
Hmm.
which is an open source desktop and VR metaverse. And sorry, I need to switch back to
Back to the.
right where I can mute it. Okay, this actually is 3/4 of an hour. Now, this is a rather old one. This was posted by Linux Conf Or, which sounds to me like a Linux conference in Australia. Could it be Linux dot conf.au? And that appears to be a web. The inclusion of the dots there means it's to say means it's actually a website too. You
Mm-hmm.
can go to linux.org.org to get to a website too. This was simply a presentation that they had at that conference, and it's not by anybody I personally know, although where we are. The talk is a high level overview, who we are, where it all came from, etc., etc., and produced by Netstate Video in Australia. Okay. Um, Vicadia is a somewhat unusual type of software. We use the word metaverse to describe it, a collective virtual shared space without a fixed purpose. It's a similar idea to Second Life or to a lesser extent VR chat. Vicadia is a fork of the now dead High Fidelity in its original incarnation, and is a simple way of looking at the 3D equivalent of Apache. Uh, Apache being a web server, of course, I presume they're referring to. Okay, I thought it was maybe what I'm looking for is somewhere, or maybe it's actually in the video itself. Yeah, Vadim Troshczynski. I think I'm.
Labs room. We've got a fantastic presentation coming
Yeah,
up. I've got, it's my great pleasure to introduce Vadim Chlestinsky. Vadim's going to be chatting to us about an introduction to Vercadia, an open source desktop and VR metaverse. Please, as usual, post your questions into the Venulus channel for this room. And
yeah. Here
if you
we are.
wouldn't mind adding hash question just to the question, just to make it easy.
They're going through the protocols there. Yeah, I don't know whether I've come across him or not, but he is apparently a part of the core team of Vicadia. Of great relevance to us, and 45 minutes of serious talking there. Um, it's not a
Full
virtual
for
show.
questions. And the question was, what's next? So, in this time of change, what, how can open source play a role in creating, helping, and better?
Okay, pretty obvious looking at the COVID era and everything else, and what Vicadia can offer. I find it funny when I'm hearing about Vicadia, it could almost be Tivoli, and when I'm hearing about Tivoli, it could almost be Vicadia, although
Mm-hmm.
they are very different. Tivoli is not exactly a commercial product, but definitely a proprietary product, whereas Vicadia is actually totally open source. Insofar as they, well, at the moment, certainly. And what is interesting here is, of course, that both Tivoli and Vicadia are available on Linux. So you're not just on the Mac and on Windows. They do actually work on Linux too. So in some respects, VR, like anything else, really, the application inventory on Linux, it tends to be shorter than the one available on the Mac, and even that's even shorter still than what's available on Windows. But there's usually a solution out there, and Vicadia is certainly one for Linux. And also, of course, this video, of course, it doesn't really matter in terms of watching this video which platform you're running it on. It's very much an introduction to the platform itself, rather than the operating system it's running on. Okay, and oh, I appear to be finished. What?
What?
I'm finished. Yeah, what? Indeed. All the links to all these ones, by the way, can be found at where is it? That place.
Twitter, perhaps?
Twitter.com Metaworld News. I'm just going to quickly open Slack here because there are usually other videos, and of course I haven't loaded them. If you if you are privileged to have had an invite to the Metaworld Discord channel, there is actually a feed in there which is growing, and I'll be opening that up a bit more later, called new videos, and that's duplicating the ones I have on Slack as a rule.
Hmm.
I better go through them. Sunday, 24th of January, that was last week. Um, I'll load them. What the hell? Um, this one is World Explorers. This is another one from
They might have gotten
Sansar here,
lost in space, and now they
and
need to
it's
respawn.
not on. It's published by Zero Cheese, Zero Space Cheese. It's not the official Sansar
Yeah.
channel.
Yep.
It's a bit like what Hypergrid Safari was on OpenSim, sort of a weekly excursion where they go around and sort of look at things. It's impossible to do programs like that and make them really look professional unless you do filming and editing and everything else. You never know where you're going to jump to, where the camera's got to go. You never know what the people in you know, the crowd are going to be talking about while you're trying to report. But it gives you a good idea of what's going on in Samsar as they this episode is called Community Favorites, so I guess they were revisiting some of the locations in Sansar here that the community favorited. Um, okay, now, as I said earlier, as well as this week in XR being on Forbes, a text um, piece, they also They also have an XR podcast. You can get it as a podcast, or you can actually see it as a video cast, which I've got here. This one's 30 minutes long, or 31 minutes to be precise. And the YouTube channel you want is This Week in XR. And the host, or well, guest participant is very well known on this particular one is Joanna Hopper. Um, oop, that's not what I wanted to do.
Everybody. It's Friday, January 22nd. I'm Charlie Fink, and I'm here with my friends Joanna Hopper of HP. And the entire industry that we are all a part of in some way, shape, or form. I work for a giant media company. Joanna works for a giant compute company.
Okay, I'm looking in a bit that you can't see, and it doesn't really tell us much at all about what's on here and at what position. LBVR, politics, and a campaign to save Google Poly seem to be the headline features, but I imagine they're talking about a lot of other things. Um, yeah, I guess that's about it, really. Um, okay, so you want This Week in XR? Oh, sorry, there we are. This Week in XR. And subscribe if you want to, or just click on the latest ones to listen into the conversation, which is basically all it's about, really. Right, talking of which, we have another one here, which is described as the future of virtual events with Drew Davis. And Drew Davis is obviously short for Andrew Davis, and this is on his own site. So it's Andrew Space Davis is the account you want. And the title of the piece is called The Future of Virtual Events and Webinars and Three Predictions for 2021. And it's what you could almost call a selfie cast for the most part.
But core workouts and boot camps bore me. And then, one
There he is.
weekend, my brother-in-law said,
Dude, if you want to travel the world and escape the pandemic, you've got to try VR, man. It's going to blow you away. It's amazing.
so I ordered one.
Hmm.
This is a virtual reality workout app called Supernatural, and 3 or 4 days a week, I transport myself to exotic locales and squat and slice my way towards the fine physical specimen you see before you. He was right. I love it.
So as you can see, it's fairly entertaining.
Hmm.
Sort of dialogue on this. I don't know it's actually much special, but it does go through what he considers the future of virtual events and webinars. Three predictions. I'm not quite sure what they were. And the summary doesn't really tell you. Oh, actually, just give me a click. No. Right. This actually is part three of a three-part series, but it doesn't. The links are actually when you get to this, the links are in the information here. It doesn't look to me like parts one and two um, are actually so closely to do with virtual events and stuff. It's more just general futurology. Right. Okay. Just moving down here. There's got to be a few more things, haven't there? We looked at the introduction to Vicadia, so that was a double. And yeah, a couple went up. Oh yeah, one more. I put up today. In fact, I put it up a few days ago, but it didn't take for some reason. This is the latest edition of Between Realities, season 3, episode 5, featuring quick cosplay. And why is it? Oh,
Into technology, it's like the latest and greatest. Like when
right here you'll recognise them when I go back a bit. There we are. Um,
500 games or like 400 games or something. You know, like it was outrageous. I played that game so much. Like
hours.
it's such an intimate community. Is the thing. Like it's
okay.
like everyone's in there.
Oh,
Everyone's
okay.
using names all the
Rebecca
time. Like
Silva
I've
de
seen
Leon
Mike's over
is the
there.
name of the lady there. Oh, attractive
Love
lady,
that.
actually. And
So what was your
she is
intro to
something to do
was
with
your
something called
intro kind of
quick
like mine
cosplay.
with
A
Firewall where
nerd
you like
mom
starting to think
dash
about this stuff
gamer
before you
dash
played
model
Firewall?
you know what's funny?
who
VR
brings
didn't
some of
come
our
into my
famous
radar
VR
until Firewall.
characters to
So
life.
I was a game
Right.
early on in life. My mom was a gamer. She loved Atari. She was like into
Right. Okay. I'm not going to play it all for you, of course, because there is 1 hour 30 minutes of it. But the YouTube account you want to look up is Between Realities, Between Space Realities, and get that. And again, it's another weekly talk show. Yeah, different every week. Um, it goes between VR, metaverse stuff, and games, and but it's all very listenable too. It doesn't sort of fit in any one category. So with that, I really can say we're finished. Those were just a few little extras, a few little extras I had hanging
Hmm.
around. In other words, so it's like the cooks on television. This is one I prepared earlier.
Mm-hmm. Had
You
it in
know
the
that, don't
oven.
you?
That's right.
You haven't indeed. Okay, well, there we go. I have no idea how long we've been this week, but I did try and keep it shorter.
Well, we
I'm
still have
okay.
short of 2 hours. We have 15 minutes
Oh, yeah,
left.
1 hour. Yeah, 1 hour and three quarters, I suppose. So that
Yep.
is
Yep.
not half as bad,
Nope.
unless you've got a lot to say, James. Any thoughts
No.
on all that?
Not
Nothing.
much.
No comments on hubs, and well, you've yet to look at it, I
Yeah,
suppose,
I've
either.
yet to look at it, so I'll have to dig
Hmm.
into that. But I've always loved the accessibility of hubs and the
Yeah,
the options of having just a variety of devices that can use the same thing. And
yeah.
there are some things that are missing that I think would really be helpful. For example, I really wish there was a convenient way to jump from one hub to another hub, and it's kind of it's you really need to have a URL or something, but an in-world way to jump I've not really seen. So although there's a lot I haven't
Yeah,
seen.
that's true.
Yeah,
It teleports. Well, even in Sassai here, you've got to pull up
the
the
directory, right?
location directory and then
Yep.
choose where you want to go. But you do sort of feel like you're doing it all in world rather than loading. I mean, the problem with hubs, not necessarily a problem, but the thing they have to overcome is the fact that they are on a web browser. In other words, they're likely to be in a tab. Now, it's not to stop you having two hubs instances, different locations open side by side in different tabs.
Hmm.
And by switching tabs, you can sort of feel a bit like you're teleporting, but obviously you've got to mute the tab you come from in order to activate the one you're going to, sound wise, anyway.
Right, right.
And yeah, I mean, there were some instances of worlds, I forget what they are, not many, fortunately, which use the location idea where you could type in an URL to get to the location,
Hmm.
i.e., move web style, went to a new page with the embed on it. and others that actually simultaneously allowed you to teleport through a door to a different location in the already existing embed. So let's say you've got two tabs open, and both of which are on the beach, right? Then you've got a link which will take you to a different instance, a different tab, which is a scene, mountain skiing or something like that. But at the same time, there is a little placard on the beach that if you touch it will teleport you to the mountain skiing. So you end up with two tabs with the identical thing on them. One you get by opting for a link, and the other which opens as a result of a teleport. And that can get very confusing because having two ways, it's nice to have the choice of two ways of interacting, but it's not much fun if both ways of interacting are running simultaneously. It can lead to great confusion,
And it can
especially if you're
especially lead
jumping.
to great confusion if you're in a headset, because there's really not a great
Yes,
way to
yeah,
keep a bunch of tabs open in a headset.
that's true. Yeah, I mean, we keep forgetting that web VR is still VR, and that you are not. I mean, I suppose if you're viewing it in a VR equipped browser where you can see the address bar and that, but how? Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you're limited. You can't type and
No,
stuff easily, can you? In a
not
headset,
not
like to
yet.
type an Earl.
Not
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. I'm still of the options. I much prefer teleporting. Though I can see the usefulness of standalone instances on the web
Hmm.
where there's nowhere to teleport to, there's no other world to go to. Uh, but um, each to their own. Just too much all happening at once, really.
That's right. That's right.
Isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Well, I thought I'm croaking. I'm
Yeah.
croaking. Why am I croaking?
I don't
Did I
know.
have my cold coffee? I've still got my cold coffee left, so dry throat, no doubt. At least the dry eyes cleared out. Right.
Oh, good.
Um, Okay, okay. Well, I think we can wrap it for the week.
I think we've done it.
Pleased with ourselves that we're down to manageable time again. Well, almost. When we get to 90 minutes, I'll be happy, but I refuse to run the clock. Okay, so we will return same time, same place next week with our roundup of the latest news. So meanwhile, it is goodbye from him
And it's goodbye from him.
because together we have XR and AR and VR and MR, but together,
We
we are.
we are. I like the
I
glissando.
was trying to give you a bit of a cue there to get
Yeah,
into
yeah.
harmony.
Right.
Oh dear, yeah, we'll have to do it a long way. We are.
All
Very
right.
musical. Well, I don't know whether that's musical. No, it's not musical, really, is it? Never mind. Right, okay, so same time, same place next week. Meanwhile, you can catch us on the Malburn's channel at YouTube for a replay all the week long. Well, forever and ever, really. I don't think they ever delete them. And yep, what more can I say? Do stay safe, everybody. Have the best week you possibly can under the circumstances, and immerse yourselves. Yes. Bye bye.